Okay, so
Thanks, bro.
this Jon Jones thing, this is gonna be a bigger topic for you boys that I got for you. Okay. I got quite a few things to say about this. It's gonna be nothing crazy, but I got quite a few things to say about this. So shit, let's just get into it now.
Bring him up, Jon Jones. I know he was never in contention.
Let's just go over it now, but before we even play the clip, let me just read out what I got to say about it. Okay? Because it's like, oh man. Okay, boys, we've been through this, right? We've been through this. Let's go over it one more time. Dana White is mad at Jon Jones because he was super nice to Jon in the build up to the Stipe Miocic fight, in hopes that in good faith Jon would turn around and fight Tom Aspinall, for the ultimate bag. Jon Jones didn't do that. And Jon Jones, it was an unsaid agreement, right? And it's fine, right? He's totally in his right to not honor the unsaid agreement because there was no pen to paper and they never even really spoke about it. It was just like, you know, essentially Dana was courting Jon during that whole lead up to the Stipe fight. He was courting Jon so that Jon would turn around and fight Aspinall. When Aspinall retired, that made a big mess for everybody, especially for Dana White, because Dana was counting on a lot of this stuff. So Dana's very upset with Jon over this. And even in this, Dana's going to be like, so what? I hate Jon Jones now. Honestly, I think Dana's reacting to the videos I've been making because I made a thumbnail, right? And I said, he hates Jon Jones. And I'm explaining why he hates Jon Jones. And no, he doesn't literally, hate Jon Jones like with a passion. It's a thumbnail, but it's like he really doesn't like Jon Jones. He really doesn't fuck with Jon Jones. And even Ziggy saying, so tired of hearing about Jones, he has retired. So actually, this is the one Jon Jones topic you're gonna like because I'm trying to tell everybody, stop worrying about Jon Jones. Dana's pissed at him. And the person we should be asking about is why Islam's, isn't fighting Ilya on UFC White House, because Ali said Islam would have fought with or without a hand injury on UFC White House. And Ilya said, they asked for more money and then the UFC came back and they said, "No, we're just going to have you fight Gaethje. If you want to negotiate, you can have Gaethje." And it's like, that's the question they should have asked. Instead, the fucking reporter is like, Dana, I hate to ask about Jon Jones, but Jon said that the negotiations fell through over money. Is that true? And Dana says, who gives a shit? And I'm here to agree with him. Who gives a shit, bro? Who gives a shit? You're asking about the wrong guy, the wrong fight. And the reason why Dana can't really answer these questions and really elaborate is because I just told you guys everything. Is Dana really going to explain that? Is he really going to say, I really hoped Jon was going to fight Aspinall. That's why I was being nice to him. And I'm mad at him over that. I don't really like the guy over that. No, because it was an unsaid deal. It was an unsaid deal. So this is why it's even worse and more frustrating for him, for me, you know what I mean, to listen to these questions being asked, for him to answer it. Because if you pay attention, you don't need to ask the question, bro. You know the answer. Like I told you guys before. Okay. Jon retired about that with the Tom Aspinall thing. Fast forward a couple months, however many months it was, UFC White House gets announced for Donald Trump's B-Day. Jon was still retired, motherfuckers. Jon was still retired, and the UFC had already accepted UFC White House. What does that mean to you? That means that they thought they could sell it without Jon Jones. If Jon was such a completing factor, a completing component to the UFC White House, and they couldn't have done it without him, then why the fuck would they have agreed when he was retired? Jon's the one who came out of retirement begging to fight on White House. And now everyone's like, we wanted to see Jon Jones on White House. Why isn't that happening? Bro, get a grip. Get a grip. They don't need him. They don't even want him because he did them dirty in fucking negotiations. They gave him everything and an easy lick at that in Stipe Miocic. And then Jon just turns around and dips. That pisses Dana off, bro. You think Dana doesn't notice, what are easy kind of fights for him and what aren't? And Dana low-key also mad that like he got the easy bag against Stipe and he didn't have to fight hard, you know? I know fighting's hard, but you should know what I'm trying to say. So that's kind of the explanation here. And this is why stop asking about Jon Jones, motherfuckers, and ask about Islam Makhachev and why he's not fighting Ilya, because he would have. He would have, with or without a hand injury, like Dana's claiming, kept him out. And they'll also mention that, is it because of the money that Ilya asked for? You know, this is the question to ask. Stop asking about Jon Jones. He's retired. We don't care about him. Ziggy is right. Completely right. And here's just the caption that I put. You know, Dana White got asked about Jon Jones' comments about UFC White House negotiations falling out over money and said a whole lot of nothing, TBH. You know, yeah, you know, Dana said a whole lot of nothing, but that's why I just explained it to you. He can't say a whole lot of anything because it's a relationship issue. You know, there's a lot of, intrinsic components that don't really need to be explained. You know, he's not going to explain it. It's a lot of emotions that don't need to be explained and they haven't even been validated. So Dana's definitely not going to be the first one to move the chess piece and be like, I'm mad at Jon. He's just not going to do that. But here's the rest of the caption. But at the same time, what people keep forgetting is Jon did UFC dirty by retiring before fighting Aspinall, and Dana doesn't really want to do business anymore unless he really has to. Hence, unless he really has to. Everybody who can't fucking figure out for the life of him, but he hit him up for UFC White House, but he asked him to compete on UFC White House. Oh my God. Bro, unless he really has to. He was playing him like a side bitch who was asking for him back. He said, "I'll fuck you if I got no one else to fuck tonight. You know, what time you free?" It don't mean he actually got to do it. Let me find out that every girl you ever ask if she's free. So you boys mean to tell me you haven't texted 4 different chicks in a night just trying to cover your bases so you could get it in at least once tonight? You tell me you boys never done that in your life. If you're not, you're sleeping, first off. Free game for the night. And if you have, then you should understand exactly what Dana White did to Jon Jones here. Yes, he reached out to fight on UFC White House, but he doesn't really want to do the business unless he has to. So of course he reached out because there's a chance, but only if he could use Jon for that chance. Only if it really, on a backhanded way, helps him out, serves him. Do injuries not happen all the time? Do weight misses not happen all the time? Things happen, bro. It behooved them. They don't have many stars right now. We always talk about this. There's Ilya, there's Islam, there's Jon's retired ass. You know, yeah, so people are saying like Jon is done with fighting, time to turn the page. Shout out Ruby Z again. Not Jones would fight a toolbox 100%, but no one watching it. Shout out to Hawk. No, he wouldn't fight a toolbox though, Hawk. Jon isn't fighting, bro. That's the thing. Everybody else wants to say like, oh yeah, well, that's the other thing, right? Because I saw one other comment, and this is how brain dead these fuckers are. So shout out to Hawk. Not that Hawk's a brain dead fucker. Don't mean to do that. Not at all, Hawk. That wasn't even connected to you, but your comment made me remember somebody else's comment from the YouTube live, on the post-fight press conference. And what did they say? I'm going to play you this clip. Sorry for lagging on this clip, but who cares about this clip? Because I'm talking. Okay, because I'm talking and I'm telling you everything, so we don't even need the clip. We really don't even need the clip because that's how much context I give, boys. We don't even need the fucking clip, but we're going to play it. But I'm just saying, in the post-fight press conference live stream, somebody commented and they went after this journalist for the wrong shit. They went after the journalist and they said, "Bro, you're so dumb. You should have asked Dana. How do you forget to ask Dana the follow-up of if you'll release him from his contract?" Oh my God. You guys are falling for the fucking propaganda. Jon doesn't want to fight. Jon is retired. Jon was only going to return for UFC Wild. He does not want to fight, bro. You think he's going to fight what? Later on then? Later this year, 2026? He's down to come back? He don't want to fucking fight. He wanted to fight on UFC White House for a special event, a historic event. He said that himself. He literally said that himself. So everybody being like, and then Jon, the only reason why he has to be released from his contract is because he's being petty because Dana, is slandering his name in the media. Because, he's that ex-bitch that did him dirty and he don't fuck with him like that. I'm trying to tell you guys, why the fuck is it so hard sometimes? I'm almost pleading with you right now. But anyway, they're asking, saying, why wouldn't you ask about if Jon Jones can be released from his contract? He doesn't want to fight. Who cares about asking that question? Ask why Islam isn't fighting fucking Ilya. Oh my goodness gracious. Somebody please ask why Islam's isn't fighting Ilya. The last thing we need is another fucking Jon Jones question about his propaganda. Okay, Jon's a liar. Dana's a liar. Stop worrying about what these guys are saying, bro. They both like they a toxic couple. If you know, you know. You know, if you know, you know. This is the UFC, bro. Welcome to the UFC. You know, Jon Jones and Dana been a toxic couple for decades. Here's the clip. You know, here's the clip I've been referring to. Here it is. It's gonna explain everything I've been telling you guys.
Jones. I know he was never in contention to fight on that White House card.
But
he did say that he was offered $15 million and it came down to money. Is he lying when he says that?
who gives a shit?
Agreed. You know, who gives a shit if Jon's lying? It doesn't even matter whether he is or isn't lying.
So did the negotiations just fall out over money, or was he not?
I've already talked about this a million times, and Jon knows what happened.
Okay.
Jon knows what happened.
Remember I told you that it's a lot of emotional stuff that's happening between Jon and Dana? That's what that means. Jon knows what happened. Jon knows how bad he did me. Jon knows I did everything right by him, and I wanted him to fight Tom Aspinall, and he just retired out of nowhere and left me high and dry, left me hanging. And then on top of that, you know, now we got the new problem with Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall eye poke situation. We still don't even have a heavyweight champion. As we speak and breathe right now, we don't even have a fucking heavyweight champion. You know, okay, Tom Aspinall's the heavyweight champion. Okay. You know, okay. But I don't feel that way. I know he's the heavyweight champion. I don't feel that way. You know, the fight with Cyril Gane was supposed to bring the clarity. We didn't get no clarity from it. And this all has to tie back to Jon Jones fucking retiring in the first place. So Dana says, you know, Jon knows what happened. This is what he's referring to. He's not talking about the negotiations. You guys got it all twisted. He's not talking about Jon knows what happened in the negotiations. Jon knows what happened between us. Jon knows what's going on. Jon knows I don't really like him like that right now. But funny, because Dana's going to call out and be like, but what, I hate Jon Jones now? I swear this guy came across my YouTube thumbnail.
I don't know. So, first of all, leading up to this, whatever this is, you know, all I do is Jon Jones the GOAT, he's the greatest, da 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 da, and everybody's talking about how I'm blowing Jon Jones all the time. Now this falls out. What, I fucking hate Jon Jones and I'm trying to destroy Jon Jones now or whatever.
Not that you're trying to destroy him, you just don't want to do business with him. Don't gaslight me, Dana.
Jones knows exactly what happened. And this happens every week at the UFC. There's all kinds of negotiations going on. You know, you think Jon Jones is clamoring to fight? Like Jon Jones is like, we have to give this guy 3 fights a year if he really wants to fight. Legally, we have to give him 3 fights a year if Jon Jones is chomping at the bit to fight.
And this is the joke. This is him respond. See, you don't even need to ask him if he will release Jon from his contract because he asked in a tweet. Dana's speaking about it right now. You know, he's addressing it without it even being asked. You think Jon wants to fucking fight? What would releasing him from his fucking contract do? You think he's going to step in the octagon elsewhere? This dude don't want to fight. And even if he does fight, it's some bullshit ass money grab. And Dana's not going to give him that W. Dana definitely not giving him that W. You know, the last thing Dana's going to do after Jon fucking retired, you know, with the Tom Aspinall fight sitting on the horizon, is release him from his contract so Jon can spite him and go fight on Netflix for Jake Paul for big old money. You know, that's the last thing Dana's going to do. But that is explaining it right there. When he says, you think Jon's chomping at the bit to fight, he's trying to explain, you know, Jon's retired. He only wanted to return for UFC White House. So this whole release me from my contract, it's like, bro, stop. The gig is up. The gig is up. Stop the charade. You're retired, homie. And if you want to come back and fight, then no special treatment, right? You're getting back into the pool, same rules as everybody else.
And if we don't, we have to pay him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll have a heavyweight champion soon, Shama. Yeah, Shama. Hopefully he knocks Cyril Gane's cheating ass the fuck out.